All right, so instant reaction from tonight's Kansas City Chiefs game versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, we did have a bet on the Kansas City Chiefs covering the 3 points. That didn't happen. I kind of had a feeling it wasn't going to happen when literally it was like the first drive. Xavier Worthy gets injured. They're already extremely shorthanded with Rashee Rice being suspended. He gets injured and he just doesn't come back. It's probably separated shoulder, pop back into place, and he'll be in a sling and he'll be harbored up for probably a good 2-3 weeks. Maybe even a month. Who knows? These players try to come back after they take shots. I don't see him playing against my Philadelphia Eagles next week. So, I think the Eagles really just got to be able to figure out a way to kind of contain Patrick Mahomes because he was electric tonight. I saw him throw a horizontal pass. He looked like partial running back. He did his best. Jalen Hurts, he tried to one-up Jalen Hurts from last night. I think they did really well considering what they had to work with. Patrick Mahomes did his thing. One thing I would have liked to saw, I think Travis Kelce he got like 2 targets. And don't get me wrong, he had a touchdown on that wide open pass from Mahomes after rolling out, and it was nice. I know I'm not trying to say it wasn't. It's just there was something missing between that connection between those two. And first game of the year, I understand. And I remember last year they started off slow with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, and then they started picking it up latter half of the season. So I don't want to, and he's getting older. He's getting up there in age. But I don't think it's he can't get open. I don't think it's he can't catch the ball or he's not reliable. I was disappointed in the amount of targets just overall. You got 2 of your best receivers literally gone out of the game at the beginning of the game, and there was no conservative effort to try to almost force it into Travis. And you could almost say maybe they didn't need to. I think the Harrison Butker extra point later in the game really messed things up for the Chiefs. Because from there, the following touchdown that they got, they were forced to go for it on the 2-point conversion. They didn't get the 2-point conversion. And then from there, they're just kind of playing catch up. And that really kind of took away, at least from the gambling perspective, it took away my opportunity of being like, oh, we're going to cover here. Once he missed the extra point, I had a feeling, I'm like, we're just not going to cover here unless these guys come down and get 3 straight touchdowns. That's the only way we probably have a chance. Their defense on Kansas City just was pathetic tonight. I know at the end of the game when Justin Herbert rolled out, it sounds like Chris Jones had outside contain, which he neglected and tried to go inside. And him and the linebacker were arguing, and it was just heated, contentious moment. So I don't look at that as anything major. They'll be fine. I understand why they're upset with each other. That's just part of the game. You know what I mean? How many times you argue with people at the basketball court, at the YMCA? It happens all the time. So I'm not going to take too much stock into that. Just is what it is. I do think Patrick Mahomes is still electric. I think he's just out there working with canned soup, man. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's probably 3 years past his prime. I think we also have, Hollywood Brown. It's tough to say, right? Because when Hollywood Brown was with the Ravens, I never liked what the Ravens do with their receivers. If I was a primary receiver, I would never go to Baltimore because you're just going to be out there doing cardio. But I know Hollywood Brown and him had a semi connection, so I expect that to trickle down with Patrick Mahomes, and he had a few catches. I think he had 5-6 catches, but they're all like little 5-yard dink and dunks. That's the same thing they were doing with, Hopkins last year. It's just little 5-yard slant routes, and I don't know. It looked a lot like almost how the Eagles played yesterday. It reminded me of how the Eagles played. I wasn't impressed, but you're impressed with the quarterback. You know what I mean? The defense, I gotta say, Kansas City's defense, coming off of that performance in the Super Bowl, and then you round it off into today, it just looks so bad. Now we can shift over to the Los Angeles Chargers. I think Herbert played great tonight. And my problem with Herbert is never a regular season issue. It's a postseason issue. I can never get over the fact that you sincerely went out there and blew like a 27-point lead in the playoffs. So for me to give you some type of kudos for tonight, I had a bunch of people slide into my DMs, and when I give out those gambling plays, people like to, no, I think it's going to be the Chargers, and the 2 people were Charger fans, so of course there's going to be some bias to it, and then they try to tell you, see, I told you, top 5, Justin Herbert, he's top 5. That's just, it's like right play. It's like, I don't ever get mad when somebody tries to rub it in. Sports, politics, religion, everybody has an opinion, right? The thing is, when you have nothing to show, like, I just wish people were as loyal to me as they are to Justin Herbert, I guess is the real point I'm trying to get across here, because the guy played well, but I never had a he can't throw the ball issue. It's what you do in the playoffs. You're in the AFC. You got to go against Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. And I think there's one other team I'm forgetting right now that I think might be solid. But regardless, you just can't do it. You never can. And you always come up short. You know, I imagine you guys running into Baltimore in the playoffs and getting eliminated. Even if you go to the AFC championship game, what does it matter if you don't get to the Super Bowl? I'm not one of those guys that say you got to win the Super Bowl or your season doesn't matter. I am one of those guys, though, that says if you don't get to the Super Bowl, that is an issue to me. Because listen, if the Eagles get to the Super Bowl this year and lose, I'm still just as happy. You know why? My only goal at the end of the season is to only be watching my team play. The last game of the year, as long as my team's playing, win or lose, I'm happy with that. Because I don't believe, oh, you have to win or it doesn't matter. No, man, football's a game of luck. And you know, the way these injuries happen nowadays, the way these flags get thrown, man, it's too hard to bank on absolutely winning. The best team won. I didn't see too many times the best. That one year, the Dallas Cowboys got smacked by Green Bay in their own house. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl that year. That was their primary year. That was their year. Next thing you know, Aaron Jones is out there looking like, you know, Reggie Bush at USC, and everything ended up changing for him. I really like what the Chargers are doing. I like what they did. John Harbaugh had them boys ready to play, but it did kind of feel like, and I'm trying to be humble when I say this, but you know that team where it's like, this is their Super Bowl? That's what it felt like. You know, game in Brazil, you know, Taylor Swift didn't even show up. It wasn't that important of a game to Kansas City. You know what I mean? They know what they're here for. Not to mention, their best two receivers were out. Their kicker missed that extra point. Like, I don't want to rain on somebody's parade, but I do want to talk facts. And I just can't, with Justin Herbert, get over that 27-point loss in the playoffs and then blame coaches. You know what I mean? And then blame, and I'm not saying he blamed coaches, but everybody else blamed coaches for him. And it's like they keep this, you know, bubble wrap around Justin Herbert because he's a good thrower of the ball. And he had some wheels tonight too. He was at it. I felt like I hadn't seen that in a while. I was like, oh, I was actually impressed. I was like, oh, okay, he's really moving out here. It was refreshing to see. But let's just not get ahead of ourselves. I just think they're going to be solid. They could go 12-0 right now, and I'm going to feel the exact same way as I did right before today's game. You know what I mean? Because it's about what you do in the playoffs. We are past the point, especially with social media, we're past the point of giving players credit, you know, because I'll be just completely transparent. My favorite quarterback all the time, Peyton Manning. I still think Peyton Manning is better than Aaron Rodgers. I still think Peyton Manning is better than Tom Brady. This is my personal opinion. But for years, he couldn't get over the hump. And everybody said he's the best regular season quarterback ever. Great. And I'm going to hold everybody to the standard they were doing to my favorite player. You know what I mean? If that's what you say about Peyton Manning, just know that's what we're going to say about all these other quarterbacks coming after him, right? So they tried to do it with Jalen Hurts. Well, he won. So now what? Now we have a different conversation. And I think that's important to remember. Look, Justin Herbert, I don't care what you're doing in the regular season. It's all about playoff performance. And if you shrivel up like Lamar Jackson does, like Josh Allen does, we have to hold that against you, because just because you're able to showboat in the regular season and run up 12 to 14 wins, it doesn't matter if you don't win the big one, or at least get to it. Hey, that's why I didn't mention Joe Burrow not one time. He at least got to the dance. And I think that was like his rookie season. And, you know, it was electric. I absolutely loved what I saw from them that year. But you know what? After a while, we forget about it. You know, this grace that we give all these quarterbacks, it starts to get erased. And Joe Burrow, you're on the clock. You're constantly injured. This is your year. Don't get injured, brother. You guys got to stick together and get it done, really. And I feel like that. And only one quarterback can get it out of the AFC. So you can love Lamar and Allen and Mahomes and Herbert, but only one of them can get out of the AFC. So at least two of these guys are really going to, because if Mahomes don't make it, that's whatever. You know, they can miss the playoffs and nobody looks at Mahomes different. But for two of those other quarterbacks I mentioned, if one of them goes, there's two of them that I'm still going to have this conversation with, because that means two of you guys still can't get over the hump. So I just, you know, relax. It's week one. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the Chiefs are as good as we thought. I think Mahomes has covered up a lot of the blind spots for that team. And I think it really officially got exposed in the Super Bowl. They brought back a lot of that roster, a lot of the similar. I mean, when I look at that receiving core, I'm like disappointed. I don't know how they haven't went out and tried to make a splash to get Tyreek back. I'm like, I guess they're just assuming he's going to sign at the end of 2026 and just go, you know, the start of 2026. They're just assuming he's going to go sign with Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying he wouldn't. I'm not saying that's even a bad idea. What I am saying is they need something now. Rashee Rice, I think, is going to be solid. Xavier Worthy is going to be really good too. But they both were out, and Xavier Worthy got hurt. And, you know, Xavier Worthy reminds me a lot of Devontae Smith. You know, one of those. Once they catch it, right when they get tackled, you're like, ooh, I know that hurt. Is he gonna get up? Okay, he's good. He's good. You know what I mean? One of those guys. I see you. They get hit hard enough, and it's concussion time. Tough loss for us though on the betting. You know, I thought Patrick Mahomes I just expected Xavier Worthy to be there. I would take that same bet again today if Xavier Worthy was playing. You know what I mean? And not to mention, I think passing quarterbacks do really well when the weather is good, inside domes and stuff like that. That's why I appreciate some of these teams that aren't just going out and building domes. Because I mean, football is nice and cool. And I think it was raining, so I don't want to say I don't want to say dome specifically, but I just think these beautiful fields and this beautiful settings. I think some players just play so well in those type of environments. You know, hey, Peyton Manning as well. I think there's something to the Tom Brady's and Jalen Hurts's and, you know, being out here. And I, you know, I hate to say it, but I think that's the reason why Aaron Rodgers could never quite get over the top in his prime. There was a couple times where in the playoffs, they lost in snow games. You know, my Eagles almost lost to the Rams last year in the snow game. I don't like these snow games. I think they're extremely ridiculous. It will come postseason. But I think throughout the season, I wouldn't mind some snow games. I wouldn't mind some open roofs. You know, maybe the NFL changes that. Maybe that's the rule. Throughout the NFL season, all roofs are open no matter what. Come playoffs, we close them. I think that would be a solid, you know, adjustment to just the NFL in general, because I think we do care about these snow games, and I don't want to get rid of those. But come playoff time, I want the best team to win, and I don't want it to be because of a snow game. You know what I mean? And one team had an advantage and couldn't get off couldn't get the right get off because we're out in the snow. And yeah, man, absolutely. You know, I don't want to say great game. It was just, it's nice to have football back. You know, I think that's important to remember, man. We got football back, and we just want to make bets as us bettors. And anybody that is out there actually really sincerely placing bets, I advise you, this is week one. Don't empty the bank on it. You know what I mean? I did $200 bet, and then I did an in-game live for receptions over 5.5. Lab McConkey, he ended up getting 6, so I ended up getting half of my loss. I mean, I only bet 200 on the -3, and I won 100 on the Lab McConkey. So, you know, and I got it at plus 100 odds. But, you know, so I lost $100 today. Boo-hoo. You know what I mean? But, you know, once the season picks up, we're going to start betting thousands. So this is just really to get some skin in the game, and it's to have a little bit of fun and something to talk about. I appreciate everybody who even hops in the DM and checks us out on TikTok and Instagram. That's where we're getting most of our traction. This YouTube, I'm going to start doing long format here on this YouTube, post game and stuff like that. Just for people who want longer content. I know when I make the shorts, that's probably what most people might on YouTube know me for, is the shorts. It's just quick hitting. I'm giving you some funnies and some, you know, like, I don't want to say I don't believe everything I'm saying, but, you know, I'm cracking jokes. If anybody were to ever see it, who I was talking about, I would just say, don't take it personal, dog. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean no malice. I don't want no harm to you and your family. But if you're out here acting ridiculous publicly and it gets, you know, put on a platform, media, I will be discussing it, and I will be saying what I would say to anybody sitting right next to me right now, one of my people on the cell phone. Like that, those conversations, I think in media are absolutely being lost as far as being able to really have those conversations like we're just sitting in a room talking to each other. It's almost like how the comedians try to keep comedy alive, like don't police a comedian. Not to say I'm out here trying to be a comedian, but I am going to tell the truth, and that will ruffle feathers. Somebody the other day said, yo, your glasses are outdated. It made me really consider, were my glasses outdated? You know what I mean? Although I don't believe they are. Whatever, man. Jokes aside, I'm always down to take a joke too. So feel free to drop them in. And if it's that good of a joke, man, you can go look at any of my comments. I laugh with you. I'm not against being laughed at. I know what I do offends people and pisses people off, especially if you're a fan of these teams I'm talking about. If you're a Justin Herbert fan, everything I'm saying right now probably really does concern you. It probably really does make you mad to feel like this guy's still not giving us credit. But just look at yourself in the mirror and ask him, does he deserve credit? Like, you know what I mean? What do these wins amount to if it doesn't amount to what you're here to play for? You know, you're just another Phillip Rivers, you're just another Peyton Manning. So congratulations to the Los Angeles Chargers. It was a solid game. I'm just glad to have football back. And it just sucks that now I'm like expecting a game tomorrow. I got to watch college ball, and I'll probably play some bets tonight, and I'll probably put something on our plays on, I don't know if I want to do TikTok. TikTok will flag you if you try to put some gambling plays on there. So from now on, I think Instagram is where to find the plays. And then my quick short videos, and I'll be sending links to the long form. And I like long form better. I feel like I get to interact with people, and I want people's genuine reaction. Congratulations to everybody who won some money tonight. Congratulations to everybody who is a part of this channel. Thanks for being here. Good night.